not sing anymore. I got to save it because the guest that I'm bringing on wrote that piece, and it's incredible, and it's sung all over the world. So in just a moment, I'm going to introduce you to one of my dear colleagues and wonderful talent. Let me tell you a little bit about her first. She uses her music to change the world. And by the way, I want to thank all of you who are here tonight to listen to the Jewish voice. She has an international performing artist reputation. She's a composer, an educator, an activist. She has the unique ability to move people of all ages using her talent, passion, music, and commitment to community to create social change. The one and only Perry Smilo. Come on, Perry.
Hello there, Rochelle.
There you are. Hi, Perry.
I'm zooming in from New Jersey.
It's so, you're from New Jersey. It's so good to have you on the show.
Thank you. And how fun to hear you sing Ashrei.
Oh, are you kidding? Every child, every bar mitzvah kid who can't learn the long Ashrei sings the short Ashrei with me. Oh, we love it. We just love it. So, Perry, my audience, is incredible. I have anywhere from 250 to 500 people listening to this program. And then it continues on afterwards with people listening because it's on Facebook. But a lot of people don't really know you other than the Ashrei. Like people know me, and I'll say, what song do you know from me? And they go, the Baruch Hu. I mean, but I've written hundreds of songs. So you've suddenly become known as the Ashrei woman. So first of all, tell us a little bit about you and your life and how you got into Jewish music.
So first of all, I just want to say thank you for having me. Hello out there in music land. Thank you for taking time to join us tonight. And thank you to Rochelle for making space and holding space for all of us to talk about Jewish music, contemporary Jewish music. So I started out life as a pretty, you would never have expected the girl I was at 8 to be the woman I am now. And the reason is that I grew up in a family that was Jewishly identified, but didn't have much Jewish culture or much Jewish knowledge. And I don't know if it's really apocryphal at this point or if it really happened, but the story in my family goes, I'm the eldest of 3 daughters. And the story goes that when I was in 3rd or 4th grade, my teacher called my parents sometime in December. And she said, Dr. and Mrs. Smilo, I think your daughter's having an identity issue. And they said, what's going on? They said, well, the teacher said, I asked the kids today in class to raise their hand to let me know, do they celebrate Hanukkah or Christmas? That wasn't my answer. And and apparently I cried. And my teacher, being a wonderful teacher, called my parents and said, you don't take her outside. And called my parents and said, you may want to look into this. And it turned out that the reason I was crying was because I knew I was Jewish. We lit candles on Hanukkah, but we also got presents on Christmas. And I sort of in that moment felt like I was doing something wrong, even though nobody had taught me I was doing something wrong. I didn't. So I was immediately enrolled in religious school. And because I was enrolled in religious school at 4th grade, I got privately tutored in Hebrew, and I learned Hebrew quickly. I fell in love with it. I had a difficult year that year because my parents simply sent me to the synagogue that kids on the block were going to, and it wasn't a good fit for our family and our politics. But pretty quickly thereafter, I ended up at a congregation where Rabbi Harvey Fields, Alav Shalom,
wonderful man,
was the senior rabbi. And I'll just give you one last example. The first Rosh Hashanah that I remember as a kid in a synagogue involved something that Rabbi Fields called a multimedia midrash. And it was a slideshow of gorgeous photographs of the sort of start of the day, start of the world. And it was all set to the music of Cat Stevens. And I thought to myself, that's a faith I could be into. That was the beginning.
Wow. Did you go to Jewish camps?
Nope. I did go to camps with a lot of Jews, but I didn't go to Jewish camps.
Right.
And I always played music. I got my first guitar for my 8th birthday, and I'll give away my age, at the summer of 1968, Summer of Love, and I got my first guitar, and I was off and running.
That's incredible. That's wonderful. Before we go on any further, I'd love you to sing something for us.
How about I sing Ashrei, since that was the one you started with?
That's a great
But before I do, can I tell a very quick story about how this got written?
Tell us about it. Yes.
Do we have time? Okay, I'll be quick.
No, you don't have to be.
So, as songwriters, we're always asked, do you write the lyrics first? Do you write the music first? How does it come to you? Does it take weeks? So for me, the answer is mixed. But this song, I really, honest to God, feel like I didn't write. And the reason is that it arrived finished. I was babysitting. I was single. My sister had 2 kids. I was there giving her a break, and they were napping. And I sat down with my guitar just to kill some time at the kitchen table. And over the table were some books. It just happened that a Reform Movement prayer book was there. I don't know what possessed me. I picked it up. I put it on its spine, and it opened to Ashrei.
Oh.
And I picked up my guitar, and there's no other explanation. I played Ashrei the way I am about to play it to you, finished.
Wow.
And then I thought about it. I thought, wow, where did I hear that? That's so cool. I kind of like that. And then I realized, I think it just got written. And I decided that it got sent to me by my nephews in their sleep.
That's wonderful.
That they sent it to me. So here's Ashrei.
And tell us basically what Ashrei comes from in the liturgy.
Right, so you find it in the morning worship.
I chant it every day.
Find it in the morning worship, and I like to think of it as the wake up, the Jewish wake up. It's not the first thing we say, because
Right.
first thing we do is say thank you, and first thing we do is have gratitude. But the second thing we do is be a little grateful for that everything in our body's working. But pretty soon thereafter, we sing praises.
Great.
And that's what this is.
Okay.
Here we go. And guess what? I'm playing it in the wrong key. I've never done that.
I was going to say that feels a little high to me. That's a piece that if you go just a little too high, you're in trouble.
It's uncomfortable. Let's do
Exactly.
it. Let's do it here. Here we go.
It sounded good. Oh, yay. I love it. Beautiful.
Maybe a little shortened version since
That's okay.
So much time.
That's about the length we do it in the synagogue, so it's cool. Perry, tell me about your work in Tikkun Olam, repairing the world. Tell me some of the things you've done.
So let's start with where it came from.
Okay.
I hope they figured out how to get on. The original place, the place where I learned that it wasn't just enough to live one's life, that part of living a full and a rich and a giving and a meaningful life involves giving back. So I learned that from my parents, Paul and Turby Smilo, who were all through my childhood and my adulthood, have always been engaged and involved civically. My mother ran for office. They sat on a ton of boards, sort of all the things that you would hope that our individuals in our community would be engaged with. But I learned early on that being active in community just felt like not only an important thing, but it actually was what gave me joy. So I guess I've just always been involved, to be honest, Rochelle. So let's see, it's hard to even know where to start. Let's start with my musical life in Tikkun Olam.
Okay.
For years, I lived in Boston for many, many years, and I had the unbelievable good fortune to work with a genius community leader named Lenny Zakem, who also, Oliver Shalom, who was the executive director of the Anti-Defamation League in Boston. He was a brilliant community organizer. And for anybody who either comes from Boston or has visited Boston recently, you'll know that there's a brand new bridge in Boston called the Leonard Zakem Bridge. Al Shmo. It's after his work because he was a bridge builder. He created something called the Black Jewish Seder, Passover Seder. It's sort of in vogue now, but there was a time when it was unheard of for Blacks and Jews to get together through the use of the Passover Seder as a mechanism by which to understand the sort of the freedom journeys of the two people. So because I had this amazing experience with him, creating this extraordinary event that ultimately brought together 900,000 people a year, Blacks and Jews from the greater Boston community, I had an opportunity to work with a Black choir from a student choir, kids, young people, high school students from inner city Boston. And we worked together. I spoke with the director of their choir about what we were looking for. We were in their church. We were going to be guests in their church. And the question was, how could their choir be involved? So I met with the choir director, came to my home for dinner. And at the end of the dinner, he said to me, "Thanks so much for having me in your home." And I said, "Well, you're welcome." And he said, "No, really, thank you." And I said, "Well, you're welcome." And he said, "Perry, I don't think you understand. I've lived in Boston for 25 years. Tonight's the very first time that I've ever eaten dinner in the home of a white person."
Wow.
Now that was 1991. It's a little late for that. So what ended up happening with that relationship was that I explained to him what Passover was, talked to him about what the music could be. And he went off into the world to find appropriate music for his teen choir to sing and came back singing Dodie Lee. And they chose Dodie Lee. They learned it 8-part gospel harmony with 40 voices. And when they sang, the barn doors blew off the place. It was amazing. And I got together with that choir later on and said, "So how was it?" And the young people said, "It's great, except that we didn't know that Jewish people could like us so much."
Oh.
And so from that, we launched a 2-year project called the Freedom Music Project, where we brought together a small number of the students from that choir with Jewish teenagers, and we explored the music of Passover and the civil rights movement together. And the Jewish kids said, "Oh, please don't make us sing the music of Passover. It's so old and boring. Those kids are going to think we're just daft." And then the Black students approached me privately and said, "Would you please do me a favor? Please don't make us have to revisit the civil rights movement songs. It's like from our great grandparents. It's old, it's stodgy." The Jewish kids couldn't get enough of the civil rights music, and the Black students could not get enough of the Passover music.
How incredible. You have written some great Passover things, haven't you? You have
I do. I have something for you out of that project.
Great.
I wrote this song for them.
I had so much fun the other night just listening to your music.
Thank you. Thought a lot as a group about the shared liturgy that we all have, shared values that we all get from the Old Testament. And this was a story that while they had never heard before, as soon as I told them this midrash, it made perfect sense. Nachshon ben Aminadab was just one face in the crowd. He was tired and he was hungry, scared, but he was proud. He walked across the desert to escape slavery, and now gotta take one small step. One small step, you gotta take one small step for freedom. You've got to take one small step. One small step, you gotta take one small step for freedom. The other side, well, they were very few, said no, this cannot be. We can't go back, we've come so far in fleeing slavery. If we just stay put, I think you'll find that God will make a move, and a miracle will save us all. Just wait, you've gotta take one small step. One small step, you gotta take one small step for freedom. You've got to take one small step. One small step, you gotta take one small step for freedom. Well, no one noticed Noxium over by the rippling tide. He had one foot in the water, the shoes at his side. He took one step, then another, till he barely could breathe. And just when the world went dark, the waters parted, and we were free. 'Cause he took one small step. If you're listening out there, sing with me. One small step, you gotta take one small step for freedom. You've got to take one small step. One small step, you gotta take one small step for freedom. You've got to take one small step. One small step, you gotta take one small step for freedom. You've got to take one small step, you gotta take one small step, you gotta take one small step for freedom.
Ah, wonderful, wonderful. I can hear my audience out there in Zoom land applauding you. You've got you're not only write great melodies, but your lyrics are fabulous. Do you write
Thank
all
you.
your own lyrics?
I would say that when it's in English, I'm writing my own lyrics. When it's in
Right.
Hebrew, I'm borrowing liturgy.
Yeah, me too. Me too. A kind of a mixture.
Yeah.
So, it's so funny. I'm thinking while you were singing, like you said when we were kind of getting ready for the show, how our paths have sort of been parallel to each other, but we never really, this is the first time we're really spending any time talking to each other. And
I know,
most
what a
people,
shame.
I know, most people think that when, that the people coming on the show are people that, I hang out with all the time. But the magic is the music. The Jewish music, we all become one. It unites us as one. And I just feel completely connected to you. So thank you so much, Perry.
My honor.
So let's talk about a few other things. So now, high school, where did you go to college?
I went to Wesleyan University in Connecticut and I studied letters, which was literature, history, and philosophy. But I convinced them to allow me for my senior thesis to write an original musical, which I did, and then produced and directed it my senior year. So that was really exciting.
Wow, it's incredible. What was your musical about?
So for anybody out there who may be a Broadway fan, I grew up in New Jersey, so I went to Broadway a lot. And one of my absolute favorite shows from my young years was a little known show called The Me Nobody Knows. And it was a show that was written, the spoken pieces was all poetry of children from New
Wow.
York City public schools and then set to music. So I used that example, and the research part of my thesis was researching the poetry and the writings of children around from the English speaking world, from South Africa, from Australia, New Zealand, the United States, England, Canada. And then I wrote all the music, and then we
Incredible.
directed and produced it. Yeah.
And then, okay, so now we finished college, and then what happened? What was
So yeah, so I've had Rochelle. The quick answer is, because I know your people don't have all night to listen to my resume, but
all night? I'm telling you, when the show's over, people text me and say, "Oh, it's so incredible!" And I downloaded her music, and
it's so great. All right, so here's what happened. I have always had two main interests. One has been sort of education, working with kids, teenagers, young kids. And the other has been working in the performing arts. And I guess the third one has to do with organizational management and development. So after I got my undergraduate degree, I became the artistic director of a community children's theater, which I ran for several years in Connecticut. Then I moved to New York City, where I became a member of Actors Equity and was a musical theater performer for about 4 or 5 years. But I made a promise to myself when I went to New York to seek my fame and fortune as a musical theater performer that I wouldn't wait tables. I was a little bit of a snob. And so I was very lucky, and I got a job as a consultant to the Seagram's Corporation. Now, the Seagram's Corporation has a very large nonprofit side of the business. And one of the many philanthropic programs of that organization is that they used to fund and run an after-school program in East Harlem. And so I served as the experiential education consultant to them for several years, helping them to think about how they take a safe space for young people and turn it into an educational space. So I loved doing that. And then from there, I eventually went back to, I moved to Boston. After that, I was ready to leave theater after a while. The truth, Rochelle, is that I started skipping auditions if the kids that I was working with in Harlem were doing something cool. Like if somebody was doing something and they asked me to come and it conflicted with an audition and I had to make a decision, I found myself going to East Harlem. And I decided wasn't likely to be able to continue my professional musical theater career if I didn't go to the auditions. So then I moved to Boston, where I worked for the city of Boston for several years as a street organizer, working with teenagers, organizing young people during the crack cocaine epidemic. And I worked with gang members, and went from there to graduate school, and I got my master's in education from the Harvard Graduate School of Education, where I subsequently did some teaching as an adjunct, and then I don't know if I would call it even adjunct. I was given the privilege of, I became an expert in community service learning. That was where my heart was, and I knew how to do it, and I knew how to teach it. So they invited me back to do some teaching to people who are becoming teachers, and all the while, I was playing Jewish music. So I would work on the weekends in synagogues, and I would finish my nonprofit work, at 4:00 on a Friday afternoon. And I found myself changing my stockings and my clothes in the car on the way, going 65 miles an hour down the Mass Pike to a synagogue where I was going to substitute Cantor.
Did you ever think of becoming a cantor?
Many, 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 many times. And I even went so far as to, I was granted an unbelievable privilege of a semester of sitting in on Cantor Jackie's cantorial class at the
Jackie Wilson?
So I had the opportunity to sit in for one semester, really just to decide if it was the right thing for me. By the time I was doing that, I already was in my 40s, and I wasn't sure that I was ready to go back to school.
That kind of commitment, right? Go to Israel and the whole 9 yards.
Right. But I did live in Israel twice. I speak Hebrew comfortably, and it's an important part of my life.
You're just incredible. You're a very educational life, very musical life. You seem to have been able to beautifully weave one into the other. You got a lot of right brain, you got a lot of left brain. It's good. It's a good mixture.
Thanks.
I have a little too much of one side of the brain. I could have used a little more of the business side of the brain, but I got by. I got by.
You seem to be doing very well.
Thank you, Perry. So tell me what other things have happened? What are some of the things in your life that you think really had a major impact on you emotionally as well as musically?
Good question. Well, I think there are a lot of listeners who know that, among other things, that and I'm a cancer survivor, having lived with chronic cancer for 20 years now. It's something that I explored in my last album called Blessings, which is an album of music that I was really finding a need after a number of years of cancer, and then recurrent cancer, even all the while I was attempting to continue my national touring career. I wanted to explore blessings in my life. And so one of the blessings of my life is that I married quite late, relatively speaking. I don't know what that means anymore, but relatively late. And I became a mom at 43 years old and have this amazing daughter who is one of the biggest blessings of my life.
Oh, how wonderful.
And I should say, just in the context of asking about challenges, so I became a mom through adoption. And I rarely mention that publicly because your children are your children.
Right.
But I do think that there's something about having people in the public eye share that path is open to everybody. And
Absolutely.
So
needed. Yes.
Yeah. So the other thing was the other piece of that Blessings album was exploring what it's like to deal with recurrent cancer.
So what does chronic cancer mean? I mean, where is the cancer?
Right. So generally, thank you for asking. I don't generally talk about those details because they're pretty private. But in my case, what it means is that after having been diagnosed with cancer and having undergone surgery and waiting the requisite 5 years, and at 5 years, for most cancers, if you survive to 5 years, you're usually told that you're clean of cancer. Good luck, gesund, gesund, move on with your life, and you're called a cancer survivor. And for me, in year 7 after my cancer, it came back. And then it came back again in year 10, and it came back again. So mine just comes back. It's dealt with surgery, and that surgery has an impact on my ability to sing. And it's in and out. It means that some years I have to take off entirely from singing, and then I can come back to singing. I have to rehabilitate my voice each time after surgery. So it's challenging as a singer.
You're amazing and you're strong. And what I love most of all is that you have found blessings in all of these difficult moments, which by the way, I really feel that musicians, artists have that in common. As I've had so many people on the show, including my own challenges emotionally and physically during my life, I know that the gift that we're given, the blessing that we're given, is that we're able to take our pain and translate it into music. And you can almost always know somebody. In fact, you can always know, if you're an artist, another artist who's really searching and going through difficult times, because you can feel the soul in their music. You sing for me something that came out of that period of soul searching and pain?
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for asking.
Thank you.
He turned to her and he said, "Love, I've nothing to leave you, save for the memories you and I have gathered for years. Now I am weary and I have grown old, and my ears and my eyes, they are failing. But weep not for me as I travel this path set before mother died young, she said, so I'm not shocked about this. I just want to have enough time to get out on the town. I'll travel the world and I'll drink hard and maybe I'll marry. When it's all over, don't cry for the life I've not lived. She said, carry on, save for tomorrow, carry on, dance for today, carry on. Your spirit will carry you, blessings will find you along the way, carry on. He said, frankly, there's too much to do. We'll take time off for healing. I've got to be sure that the work can go on when I'm done. Promise me that you will travel the path that we started, leaving the world a touch better than when we arrived. He said, carry on, sing for tomorrow, carry on, dance for today, carry on. Your spirit will carry you, blessings will find you along the way, carry on, sing for tomorrow, carry on, live for today, carry on. Your spirit will carry you, blessings will find you along the way. Carry on, carry on, carry on.
And may you continue to carry on. That was beautiful, Perry. Wow.
Michelle.
I want to introduce someone and bring her onto the show and kind of tell you how she has come to be on my show with me every single week. Susan Linder is a wonderful young woman, and anyone who knows her loves her. She's a light bulb. Yes, she just doesn't stop. The light is always there. So I came to her in the beginning of COVID, and I said to her, I have this idea. I want to create a show. My sister came up with the name the Jewish Voice, which was perfect. And I want to bring on all the people that I have bumped into. They've sung my music, I've sung their music, but we've never really even spent a moment saying hello to each other, except passing at a biennial or something, or waving from the stage. And I want to invite people on. How do I do it? So she got busy because Susan knows the entire Jewish world and of artists. And she made me this endless list. And I've just been going through the list, and people are thrilled to come on, and they love it. And they can talk about their music and where you can get it and download it. So I'm going to bring on my co-host right now, Susan Linder.
Hello.
Hi, Susie.
Hi, Susan.
Hi. Great to see you. Great to
Mwah.
be here with you. Mwah.
All right.
Wonderful.
So Susie, before I let you ask another request, I'm going to ask something. I'm going to ask a couple things. What have you been doing, Perry? What have you been working? What is your latest adventures and ventures that you've been working with?
So one is non-musical, and then I'll tell you a musical thing. The non-musical thing is that I just had the most amazing summer. Had the privilege of working for an organization on the Upper West Side of Manhattan sort of COVID central, called Dorot, which is a nonprofit Jewish organization that alleviates social isolation in the elderly. That's the mission. I was running the intergenerational program engagement for the agency. And so this summer, we always run a summer youth program for high school students to intern with us. And in turn, they get leadership training. They work with older adults. And of course, this summer we had to completely pivot to a remote environment. And so I had the incredible honor all summer long of both designing and then running 4 different program sites. We produced something like 5,000 hours of community service to older people in New York City.
Who supports the road? Who supports it?
The Jim Joseph Foundation, all kinds of places, UJA Federation,
Wow.
givers like you at home.
Right, and it's DOROT, Dorot. I've seen it.
Dorot, check it out online. Wonderful sort of social media presence too. Anyway,
Yes, please.
So I was very involved with that.
Wonderful. And then what else? Musically?
Yeah, so musically, it's not so much what I've been doing, but what I'm about to do. Hopefully I'll be able to report back to everybody in about a year on this. So I had a milestone birthday this summer, and one of my gifts from my husband was music lessons of my choosing. And so my choosing is that I've decided to learn gospel piano. And I'm going to learn to do that with a good friend of mine here in town, who's the most extraordinary gospel organist at a church. And she and I have had many opportunities to work together. So God willing, my next thing, I'm a pianist. That most people don't know that my background is as a pianist. I never play piano on stage.
That is so incredible, because gospel piano was one of my dreams, because I work with this incredible gospel church every year, and the pianist only plays on the black keys. I mean, everything is black keys. Yeah, spread out fingers on black keys. And, I'm a white gal who learned to play white keys mostly.
So interesting.
I played plenty of classical music with plenty of black keys, but the truth is, I absolutely love gospel, and I've often thought of going down to that church and seeing if I could get that guy to give me some private lessons. But
there you go.
First, like a decent piano that he can teach me on.
So Rochelle, you want to hear just a cool thing, just real quick?
Yeah.
Just a little deep dive into this thing. So I like you. I love gospel music. I listen to a lot of it, and I've done every opportunity I have. I collaborate with those who come from the gospel tradition. So here's a cool thing: when you're a musician and you're a composer and you're thinking about how to voice choirs,
Right.
because what happens a lot is that cantors will ask me, like, how do you get that sound? So here's the key. You ready?
Yeah.
This is what I learned. You got to flip the altos and the tenors.
Flip the alto and the
have the tenors really struggle, but get them up singing that alto line, and ask the altos to drop down to the tenor line. And that gives you that shimmer that you sometimes hear in gospel, in 4-part gospel or 8-part gospel harmony. It's a very high male voice that's singing what we think of in synagogue life as an alto line.
Right. I'm writing it down. I'm writing it down.
Little musical tidbit.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. So Susie, we're kind of running, we're starting getting close to the time, and I don't want to overtax this incredible artist that's given us her time. So why don't you ask her a couple questions? I know you had something you wanted to share.
Well, so hi, Perry. Hi, so nice to
Hi,
see you.
Susan. Susan, I'm missing you at biennials.
Oh,
I know.
And Kate. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I was thinking back at so many song leaders that I've had, and where you've never been an official song leader at any of the camps that I've been at, you've always been one of my song leaders. And I can the long list of song leaders that we've all had in the Jewish music and the Jewish camp world. And so, like, anytime I'd see you at Biennial or at any of the conferences that we've been at together, or even on here or online somewhere, that I feel so great that here's one of my song leaders. So I'm going to put you up there on one of my official song leaders of all time. How's that?
Oh, that's
All
very
right.
sweet. Susan, do you know that why that means so much to me? It's not just that I'm a composer and performer, but the song leading, because my hero, the person who made me want to sing publicly, is Pete Seeger.
Oh,
And Pete Seeger's music was never about Pete Seeger singing, ever. It was always about the community singing.
Right.
what a perfect time to bring up his name when we're singing Turn, Turn, Turn,
Oh,
Ecclesiastes.
Yeah.
there you go.
And that's just it. We learned from so many song leaders in our life, whether we know them personally or not. I'm grateful that, when Rochelle and I started talking about this list, and I'm thinking, every name that I have given her, I know personally.
Yep.
Some of them I have your personal phone number, some just your email or whatever. But as soon as you came on, you were like, "Hi, Susan, how you doing?" It's not like we're strangers. We don't get to see each other often, but I'm grateful that
It's the music. It's the music that brings us together, and it's a language that speaks all by itself.
absolutely,
It doesn't
absolutely.
need any help. Just if we could just sing, if the whole country could just sing for a whole day, we probably could get rid of a lot of hatred.
On that note, before we sing, I have
Yeah.
a challenge for your audience. Are you ready? It's the Pete Seeger challenge.
Okay.
Pete Seeger taught all of us that we sing before we speak. I want to challenge every Jewish community, whether you're in a Jewish nonprofit, whether you're in UJA, whether you're at Federation, whether you are in a congregation, that when you have meetings, and Lord knows we Jews know how to have meetings, at your meetings, sing first. We've learned to bring text into our meetings. There's always time to sing. If you sing first, the rest of the meeting will feel totally different than.
That's great. I love it.
I'm a huge believer. I love to, whoever I've worked with in a program or a meeting or conference, I always say, let me sing something while they're coming in so that they don't come into silence. They don't come into, chit chat and whatever and get lost. They come in and we've already set the mood just by whatever, whether it's a nigun or whether it's a song or whether it's, so I'm a big believer. I also believe that I did sing like in life before I spoke also.
We all probably
I've been
did.
told that.
We all did. Right. All right, Susie, you have a request?
So, would you tell us what'd you call it? Foretellers?
Oh,
Foretelling.
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 When you sing with Beth Schaefer and Julie Silver and Michelle Citron. So I know that that's one of my dreams is to get you to come to my community as a
Awesome.
group there. Could you tell everybody
what is
about that?
foretelling?
Foretelling is you've heard of the traveling Wilburys. So we have foretelling. It's for women, contemporary Jewish music artists. Each of us had our own independent careers, and we had the opportunity to sing together. We were invited, all of us, to sing as part of a larger program focused on women at one of the biennials. And I stood on that stage and I looked to my left and I looked to my right and I thought, oh my God, this happens too infrequently, that women artists at that time, I'm happy to say there's many more now, but we're talking a while ago. And I said, we got to sort of bring this around the country and show that what can happen when you bring women artists together. And so I wanted to be sure that there was sort of old and new, younger and older. Michelle Citron, who's not a kid by any means, but was the youngest of all of us. I'm the sort of elder statesman. And then we had Beth Schaefer and Julie Silver. And we decided that we would come together. First of all, for all of us who spent the last however many years we've been at this, traveling on planes, trains, and automobiles, mostly alone, to have the opportunity to travel with our dear friends who mostly we see once every other year at a biennial was such a gift. And it's really sort of selfish that was a big motivation for us. But the second thing was, honest to God, wanting to show the collegial support of multiple artists. For those of us for solo artists, it meant that we could bring harmony, that we could tell the stories together that otherwise were being told. Anyway, that's what it is. And so what we did was, for a while, and can do again, is we came into a community and we asked that community to bring together a choir of women. And we would stay for the weekend and do an artist in residence. And we led worship on Friday night, and we gave a big concert, and we worked with the women who prepared our music in advance, and they came as our backup. And we answered a lot of questions for the young girls. in their religious school about that you can be anybody you want to be. And that's who we are.
Wow.
Fore-
And you made beautiful
foretelling.
music together. Beautiful music together.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Are you planning to do more things together after COVID quiets down? If it quiets down?
I'm going to give you that answer that all artists give. If we are invited, we will be delighted to come.
All right, sounds incredible. And I can say that I've had every single one of you on. Oh, I haven't had Michelle Citron on yet. I got to get her. So if she's out there listening, Michelle, I'm coming after you this week. With Susan Linder, of course. All right. Susan, why don't we close this incredible show by you suggesting a song?
Well, I have a couple of thoughts. I love your thank you song, and I also love your priestly blessing. So what would you like? I mean, I like others too, but those are like the.
So can I be greedy? Can I say I'll do one verse of Thank You God and then we'll sing?
Perfect.
How's that? Because
Perfect.
there's awesome. So here's Thank You God.
Okay.
Think about a lot of little kids together in a retreat, and I said to them, we got to the blessing and the morning worship where it talks about how lucky we are that our body's open and everything in our body works, and the things that are supposed to open, and the things that are supposed to stay closed. And I turned to these delicious kids and I said, that's a great blessing. And they all went, ugh. What are you talking about? Ugh. They said, ugh, it's so boring. I said, well, how do you sing it? What's the melody? Maybe we need a new melody. They were like, we don't sing it. It doesn't have a melody. I said, aha, here's the way you're going to sing it. Baruch atah, thank you, God. Thank you for making our bodies work. Baruch atah, thank you, God. Thank you for making them work. You make my toenails grow. You make my blood flow. Sometimes you step up my nose. Sometimes you stiffen my bones. It's amazing how it all goes. Baruch atah, thank you, God. Thank you for making our bodies work. Baruch atah, thank you, God. Thank you for making them work. You keep us walking. Thank you for making them work. You keep us talking. Thank you for making them. Thank you for making them. Thank you for making them work.
Hey. All
Verse
right.
one.
Beautiful.
And as they used to say, and now for something completely different.
A blessing we could all use.
Let me just say to all your viewers how much it means to me that you took time tonight to join us. I have to make a teeny tiny plug and say, please visit me at perrysmilo.com.
Yes.
Lots of music to purchase. You can find me in usual places, Spotify, Amazon.com, and all that stuff. But what I want to say is that there is a relatively new songbook, an anthology. You can not only get all of this music in sheet music, but there's also an explanation about every single song, why I wrote it, where it came from. And for those of you who are guitar players, I'm a devotee of Joni Mitchell, and a lot of the stuff I play is in weird tunings. Every single weird tuning is named and labeled, and you can play it exactly like I do on the album. So please go to not Transcon anymore. What is? It's still Transcontinental. Please go to
.com. Absolutely.
Wait, say the address one more time.
Go ahead, Rochelle.
Wait, say
Milo.
the address one more time because it bleeds out.
I think it's Transcontinental. I'm embarrassed to say that I don't have the address in front of me. I should have that, but it's transcontinentalpublishing.com.
Right, or you can go to Perry Smilo and it'll link there.
It'll link you from me.
Exactly.
So thank you for allowing me that little point of privilege there. And I would like to leave everybody with a blessing.
And thank you so much, Perry, for your beautiful soul.
Thank you, Rochelle. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Andrea, behind the Jewish Voice.
Beautiful, Andrea, wherever you are. Thank you.
All of us who do this really appreciate the opportunity during COVID to speak to everybody this way. So thank you.
Thank
May God bless you with all good. May God keep all evil from you. And may God fill your hearts with wisdom and grace you with all truth. May God lift up God's merciful face and shine on you for all time. And may God grant you eternal peace. May God bless you with all good. May God keep all evil from you. And may God fill your heart with wisdom, grace you with all truth. May God lift up God's merciful face and shine on you for all time. And may God grant you eternal peace. Eternal. Sing it with me from home. Peace. Amen.
Thank Amen. There's really nothing else to say after that. You said it all. Thank you, Temple Beth Am, that allows me to do this incredible show, The Jewish Voice. Thank you, Perry Smilo, for your beautiful voice, your soul, your words, your story, which is so meaningful and important for us to hear, because I think that one of the many gifts, and there are a lot of gifts that have come out of COVID, one of them is we found out we're not alone. We found out that other people struggle, other people have challenges, and we are not alone. May God bless you and keep you and watch over you, and may you stay strong and healthy for many, many, many more years. And I look forward to making music together with you and composing something.
I can't wait.
That would be an honor.
Amen.
Thank you, Susie. Thank you, Andrea. Have a wonderful night.
Bye, everybody.